Reverend Steve, keeping it simple. I'm back. I was on a little bit of a hiatus for a little bit. My son came down for holiday before he went back to college for his winter break, and I'm very thankful for that. And I'm thankful for being back. I was also sick for a good week in there, and as you can see, I'm a little drawn. I'm feeling better though, thank goodness. I'm good enough to teach, which is the most important thing, and spread the gospel and spread the good news. And we're in Revelation 6, and we're talking about the third seal. And I've been discussing how these pieces of scripture all match together very nicely and tightly if you put them together. And this is a study for you to do. This is a study I've done many times. And you put this scripture with Matthew 24, you marry them together. You can put them side by side. That's great about technology now. You can put the scriptures right next to each other and do a side by side study, and you can see how they go hand in hand. And then you could see this how the first four or the horsemen match with Revelation 14, the three proclamation of the three angels. They match perfectly, and I've been discussing that cataclysm that comes when Babylon is destroyed is the war that breaks out. We're in the midst of it right now, and there's a war that could be kicked off at any moment. And I'm not saying that is the war, but there's a war in Ukraine right now, and all you see is both sides feeding into this war, more and more weaponry, and one little mistake, and that kicks this off. And we have to understand that it's not Russia or Ukraine or the United States that kicks us. It's Jesus who does it. Jesus breaks the seal. Jesus is the one that releases this. And I've been discussing that in these scriptures. Let's get into this. It's going to be in verse 5. When he opened the third seal, I heard a third living creature say, "Come and see." And I looked and beheld a black horse. And he who sat on it had a pair of scales in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst, the four living creatures, saying, "A quart of wheat for a denarius, and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius, and do not harm the oil or the wine." So things are going to be scarce. When this war kicks off, or when this happens, when Jesus breaks that seal, or the second seal, the red horse, bedlam, war everywhere is going to happen. And we got to be prepared for these things. We have to understand that our hearts got to be prepared with Jesus, because he's the only one who's going to help us get through all this. And I hope you truly come closer to him every day as we see these days get darker and darker and sin rampant throughout the world, and hearts are so cold. It's quite